Hello and welcome to my presentation on this week's assignment regarding mediation. As we can see in our textbook Collaborative Approaches to Resolving Conflict, Eisenhart and Spangle on page 77 reference Landsberger's 1956 research study, and that they show, they list the 5 characteristics of a successful mediator that Landsberger essentially came up with. That is, the different traits would be an appropriate sense of humor, ability to act unobtrusively in conflict, the ability to create the perception of being with disputing parties and being concerned about their well-being, persistence and patience, as well as specific knowledge about the subject area that they're going to be working with or mediating. In Landsberger's 1956 article, Final Report on a Research Project in Mediation, found in the Labor Law Journal. Basically, what Landsberger looks like he's going for is to try and determine if psychological testing could determine which trait characteristics are the most desirable in a mediator, and ultimately what makes a good mediator. And he sets this up by first defining what the traits would be, what traits would make a good mediator, and then basically conducted tests from both sides of a conflict, meaning the labor side, management side, to try and determine the extent to which the agreements overlapped. The possible problem with this is that all of the information, all the research was based on the perceptions of those that were tested. And I think Landsberger, at the end of the article, kind of alludes to that fact by suggesting or stating that he would like to see further testing in the future, so much so that it ultimately turns into a full test that an organization or the parties of a conflict could actually administer to determine, to select a good mediator to suit their needs. An article I found that cited Landsberger's 1956 research article was one by Brookmeyer and Sistrunk in 1980, called The Effects of Perceived Ability and Impartiality of Mediators and Time Pressure on Negotiation, which was printed in the Journal of Conflict Resolution. The long and the short was a very short reference, but it looks like what they were getting after is that Landsberger's findings are difficult to obtain unbiased performance measures for actual mediators, and they suggest instead to examine the effects of certain hypothesized characteristics for successful mediators on negotiations. And again, this goes back to the shortcoming of all of the research done prior was based on the perceptions of people who've been involved in mediations. In my opinion, as I kind of try and sum all this up, is I do agree with both sides. I think Landsberger is definitely onto something, and being based purely on perception, I think, could be a shortfall, but it could also possibly be used as one of the factors, and have it needs to go a bit further than just the perception. But it does look to me like the research suggests that psychological tests, in fact, could be used to select a good mediator in much the same way that organizations now currently use pre-employment testing, psychological evaluations, to select good employees. Is it perfect? No. There's always employees that can pass these tests and get hired and get brought in, and ultimately, they're not a good fit. So until someday when we have the perfect testing, I don't think will ever happen, because we're dealing with human beings, not machines. No matter who tries to describe the role that one plays in an organization as a cog in the machine. But I think they're on the right track. And Thank you very much for watching, and I appreciate it.